In this video, you will learn how to bead these adorable strawberry patches. What you will need for this project is a piece of foundation, the template, which is downloadable on the link below, some beads, a needle, thread that you will fold in half and then tie a knot at the end. See how it's doubled here? Here are the needles that I'm using. There's a number 11 there because the beads are size 11. And then here's the thread that I'm using. It's bonded nylon, very important. It's way more sturdy than any other string. So to prepare your thread, you're going to take about an arm length and put it through your needle. Bring your needle at about the halfway mark of your thread. So you're folding your thread in half with the needle on it. Then you're going to tie a knot at the end, maybe even a double knot. And you cut that pretty close to the knot so that you don't have a long tail. We're going to start by putting the template on the felt, and then you come up in the felt. You're going to put 4 beads on your needle. Some methods do 2 beads or 4 beads, but I've learned with 4 beads. So that's what I'll be teaching you. Place your 4 beads on the line. Push them to the beginning of the thread. Pierce your needle at the end of the 4 beads into the foundation and to the back. Make sure that your beads have enough room to lay flat. You don't want them to be crammed together. Come up with your needle between bead 2 and 3. And you're going to create a little bridge. You're going to tack down the beads by going between bead 2 and 3. Then you're going to go to the beginning of the 4 beads and you're going to go through all 4 beads to secure them and to straighten them out. After that, you put 4 more beads on your thread. Let them fall down on the line. Go in the paper and the foundation right at the end of the 4 new beads. Make sure that they're laying flat. Come up between bead 2 and 3 of these new 4 beads and create a bridge of thread. Come up at the beginning of these new 4 beads. If you get a knot at the back, just kind of comb out the thread and try again. Maybe pull 1 string at a time. There you go. And come through the last 4 beads at the beginning point to the end point here that we see. And you're done that segment. 4 more beads. Into the fabric or foundation. Up between bead 2 and 3. Create a bridge. Up at the beginning of these new 4 beads and through them all. I'm adding this little video segment to show you how to fix a mistake. So let's say you're not happy with something you did. There's too much space, your beads are kind of floating around. You can take your needle and hook your last stitch, pull, and then you want to pull until your needle is at the foundation. Hold your needle straight and pull the needle out of the foundation. And then you can redo your stitch. Don't worry if your line isn't the straightest. It will get straightened out as the next beads on the inside will push the previous line into place. I'm going to speed up the video until we're done this line of pink beads all the way to the leaves on the other side. At this point, I will finish off my thread by going to the back, hooking some foundation with my needle, and going through the loop that I've created. Then you can cut. Now, with the new thread that you've folded in half with your needle on it and created a knot at the end, go through at the beginning of one of these little indentations for the leaves. And it looks like it's going to need about 4 beads in this little section here. So 4 beads. Tack them down at the corner. And come up between bead 2 and 3. And create a little bridge by going back into the foundation. Now, if you're using 5 beads, you can put 2 little bridges or even just one between bead 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. Come up at the beginning and go through all the beads. And keep doing little segments on the different sides of the leaves. Here, 2 or 3 beads could work. I did 3. Go into the foundation Come back up in the middle of that segment and make a little bridge of thread to hold them into place. Now keep filling in these little lines that create the leaves of the strawberry. I'm not going to speed up the video because some people like to see how many beads I use for each section. Doing the leaves is probably the hardest part of making the strawberry. You'll see that sometimes you're not perfectly aligned on the lines of the template, and that's okay. The leaves don't have to be perfect. They're always different on each strawberry, so it's okay. Just keep going. Now, once you're done doing the outlines of the leaves and the strawberry, bring your needle to the back. And it's time to tear out the paper. You don't want to keep that paper in between the beads and the foundation. So rip it out carefully. And you can even use a pair of tweezers to get the little pieces that are kind of in the tight spaces. It's not the end of the world if there's some tiny pieces left. We just want to get the main bulk away. Once you're done removing the paper, the next part that I like to do is to fill in the leaves. So you're going to create little segments of beads that are kind of radiating from the tip of the leaves towards the center. If you fill in straight lines from top to bottom or from left to right, it doesn't look real. So I recommend doing this kind of these radiating segments of beads. What's really important to remember is to not cram in beads. If you're not sure if you should put one more bead to fill in a space, it's probably better that you don't. Always put less beads than too many beads, because then you'll get kind of beads that pop out of your design. If there are any beads kind of popping out, now is the time to secure them more tightly. By going over, you can kind of go over from one spot to the next, just adding extra little bridges here and there. And now that we're done the leaves, it's time to move on to filling the fruit. We're going to follow the outside line here by coming up at the top. We're going to put on 4 beads. And now we're going to also add some silver eventually. You can use any color you want to make the seeds, but I used silver. So when you feel the time is right for a seed, you add a silver bead into your 4 beads that you're tacking down. So going between bead 2 and 3 and tacking that down by creating a bridge back to the beginning and through all 4 beads. At this point, I'll be taking 1 silver bead to make a seed and 3 pink beads. You can add the silver beads when you feel like it would be a good time to have a seed. At this point, I'm noticing that my thread is quite short. So I'm going to flip it over, go through some foundation. When there's a loop, go through the loop and pull tight and cut my thread. Getting a good curve of beads here in the tip of the strawberry will become hard, probably on the 5th line, maybe 6th. I'll show you what we have to do when we have a hard time getting a good curve. Looks like it's curving okay on this 4th line, so maybe it'll be next time we're doing this area here that we'll have to do something different. So we might not be able to get the beads to curve into this little space. So we're still going to place them in there. And if it looks like it's kind of folding, that's okay. Just tack it in place. Maybe add a couple extra bridges. And go back to the beginning of those beads and go through everything. After you do this, you'll be able to tell how it's going to look. And that's good. Now at this point, it looks like there's about 2 beads worth of space. So we put on the 2 beads, and you might see that there's only room for 1 bead. And we're going to see if it looks too crammed. Yeah, that means we'll have to remove a bead by pulling up the last section. Pull your thread through the foundation, take a bead off, and secure that 1 bead. Now at this point, you'll start seeing that you created a line and that you'll be adding another line. It's okay that it's not one continuous line. You won't be able to get a curve anymore. Now it looks like we have room for about 4 beads in here. I'm going to go down into the fabric to start right in the crease. We're going to see how 4 beads fit. We might have to remove one. Try to push them to where the string begins and place them in the space. If it looks okay, go down into the foundation. Add some bridges. And you might see that you might have to remove 1 bead just so that it fits better, but I think this is going to work. I'm noticing that I'll probably have to add another bead here. After tacking it down, I see that there's a little space. So I'll take 1 bead, put it in that space, and go through it one more time to make sure it's secured and make sure that it's not going to pop out. There we go. And I'm pretty happy with how this looks. Finish off your string, go in the foundation, and through the loop you create, and cut your thread. Next, we're going to cut the foundation about 2 millimeters away from the beads with good fabric scissors. And you want to make sure that you don't cut any of your stitches. That's why we're not going too close. You can flip it over every once in a while just to see that you're not going to cut some of your stitches. Now we will move on to what we call the edging. We're going to use a double thread. You can also use a single thread. It just feels a little bit more sturdy when you've got a doubled thread. You're going to come up from behind, anywhere around the shape, until your knot kind of stops you from pulling anymore. You're going to put on one bead, and once again from the back to the front, about 2 millimeters away, you're going to tighten that bead, and you're going to go through it and up. Pull until the bead is nice and flat. You're going to take 2 beads now and do the same thing from the back, about 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters away. Come up through the foundation, and you're going to go up and or in and up in the last bead that you put. And this is going to create a lacy look. 2 more beads. Up from the back to the front. And up and through that last bead. You're going to keep going all around exactly this way. Make sure you pull tight after each addition. Once you're back to where you started, take one bead and fill the gap by going down into the first bead that you put down so that the design looks continuous. Then go into the foundation and to the back. Secure your thread one last time. Through the loop. And maybe do it one more time for good measure. Cut the thread and you're done. And if you make another one, then you've got 2 strawberries that you can sew onto clothing. Place the strawberries onto the piece of clothing that you've chosen. And one at a time with a double thread. And a knot at the end. You can come up from inside the garment into the foundation. Even though there's beads there, you can still access the foundation. When you look inside the garment, it looks like you can add some extra stitches in the middle of the shape. So come up between the layers of beads and add some extra little stitches here and there to make it even more secure. And finish off your thread the same way. Try to poke into the foundation and go through a few times, through the loop, a few times, and you can cut your thread. And when your child outgrows this piece of clothing, you can simply take off the patch and add it to a new piece of clothing.